emergency alert system has been activated. All broadcast and cable systems shall transmit this emergency action notification message.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Global Detection Adventures, the podcast. Sorry about all the issues. We've been having a couple... all taken care of now. Sorry if I caused any issues. So anyway, I've got with me, as usual, my special guest in crime, Dave DiNatale, sitting over in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
What is up, GDA peeps? Tis I. It's me, Dave D, a.k.a. V3I Sweeper, coming to you live in the Global Detection Adventure Studios. This time I'm on location in Suamico, Wisconsin, which is Indian for metal detecting. and if you believe that, yeah, I think it means Little River. I'm not really sure. But
I like the metal detecting. I like that one.
I know you're so frazzled. I know your team that you do the announcing for the American football team in Germany.
Yep.
Just got niched out of the playoffs. They were doing so well. Maybe last week's shellacking maybe just put a little bit in their confidence. But they didn't make the playoffs. So
no, unfortunately, they kind of had a belief that they weren't going to be able to make it today. They've come against the team that we were up against, the Aschaffenburg Stallions, and they've not yet ever beaten them. However, today they did put a great fight in, and so they should be really proud of themselves. The final score ended up being 37-24. So it wasn't too bad of a beatdown.
No, but then that leaves you out too, right? They lost the playoffs, so you're done announcing for a while.
Exactly, that's it. So I'm going to be coming back in there next year, though. So everything will be back on track with that one.
All right. Well, listen, since we're running really late, and if everybody knows us on GDA podcast, that never happens, right? But we have our guest with us today, and we want to bring him on now because it's really important to get this one in before anything else falls through the roof here.
Yeah.
Our guest today is, well, let me see. It's Laszlo Peter Ellis, but do you go by Laszlo or Peter?
Depends on who I'm hanging around.
So if it's your friend.
Growing up, Laszlo is a very common name where I'm from in Budapest. I'm a junior. I was named after my father, but the nickname for Laszlo is Laci, and that's what was spelled Laci, which is weird.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the nickname for me growing up. But this Peter thing, that's my middle name. My middle name's named after my uncle. And like I said, growing up it was Laci, but people see me.
I would have named it Laser. That would have sounded cooler.
Laser. I don't know about that, but the Peter.
So Peter,
the Peter
you're. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Peter came in. During the detecting days down here, everybody's Southern. Going to these shows and stuff like that. When I say Laszlo to a lot of these Southern guys, they look at me like, who in the hell are you? So, I mean, a lot of women like it. A lot of people like it. Just it's different. I go to a store and they'll, see it on my license. They'll say, what kind of name is that? I'll tell them what kind of name it is. And, a lot of people think it's different, but in detecting, on that show, it's just trying to blend in. I just use my middle name, Peter. All my buddies call me Pete, so.
All right, then we're going to call you Peter. Peter.
Peter, Laz.
Where do you hail from down south there? What Carolina? Is it the Carolina, Georgia, Southern Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah. South Carolina.
Now, tell us about the different types of hunting you do. I know you're into Civil War relics, and you have a crew that you go out with How long have you been doing this?
When I first got a metal detector, I was probably 12 years old. And my dad was an electronic designing engineer. And one Christmas, he bought me a Radio Shack metal detector. And he souped it up. He put like 6 C-size batteries on it. Even when I was like, the first place I ever went when I was 12 years old, I guess it's always been in me. When I was 12 years old, there was a historical marker in town. And it was for a Revolutionary War skirmish. And when I was 12 years old, I took that Radio Shack, into the woods and started finding musket balls. It's like, so, I don't know. It's just something that's always been in me. I've always liked history. I just remember when I was 6 and 7 years old playing with, those toy Civil War soldiers and things like that. So I just always, it's weird being, where I was from. And at 6 years old, to have an interest in that, I don't understand it. But like I said, I've had it all my life.
So when did your crew get involved with you? You got about 4 or 5 fellas.
Yeah, that started on the internet probably, I guess, 12 years ago. I mean, 12, 15 years ago, I was finding a lot of relics here in South Carolina. And, the forums and all on the internet were just, firing up. So, I started posting some of my finds on some of the different forums. And Larry Cisna, he had a forum which I didn't know about. It's called the Treasure Depot. He saw me posting on like TreasureNet and Troy Shadow Forum and different forums like that. And he was like, God, this guy's finding a lot of stuff. I wonder who he is. He ought to come post stuff on my site. And this, like I said, this has been about close to 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago. Oh. And he contacted me, and, I started posting on his site. And one thing led to another. Larry, he's like my brother now. But, together, we found a lot of relics over the years. I go to Texas, he comes to South Carolina, and, from his website, we've gotten to know several other guys and gotten real close with them. They're like our brothers, too. And, we all get together a couple times a year and, go out and do this. Larry comes probably, I hunt with Larry probably 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
So, yeah, I want to go ahead and kind of go into it. Last year on the Discovery Channel, you and Larry actually were in a television series. Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't know. Most people probably don't even know about it. But
Peter, when we talk about this, let's go from the beginning. Okay. Now, you said you were approached by some producers.
Yeah, see, because Larry and I have known each other for so long, it all started with Larry pretty much, because way back in, I'm thinking 2007, 2008, he was approached by the Travel Channel to do a television show with a girl named Kirsten. I forget her last name. But anyway, she was on a show called Cash and Treasures, and that was on the Travel Channel. So they approached Larry about doing the show, and of course Larry, you got to bring me along. He said, man, you got to do it with me. So I told him, I said, hell, I don't want to do television. He said, come on, do it, because I never thought about doing anything like that. I'm not really that going, but I did it with him, and it was a pretty good episode. And
all right, well, before we get into that first episode, wait, because I'm going to break this up, because there's a lot of our listeners who, I don't know, everybody thinks that, they should be able to get or be on TV, and they don't know how difficult it actually is. I mean, you and your team is probably maybe a handful of guys that have gotten a metal detecting kind of show on the cable, a Travel Channel or History Channel. Now, so you guys were approached. Did you have to go into any kind of meetings that involved before you shot your first episode?
Okay, anytime you're gonna try out for a television, yeah, we got approached. We didn't go to them; they came to us.
Right.
And all right, what they did, they contacted Larry one afternoon. We were down there metal detecting in Charleston. One afternoon, he got a call from a producer. He said, hey, we're interested in putting out a show for Discovery Channel. We said, are you interested in doing it? And he said, we want you to throw together like a little sizzle reel. We did that several times. I mean, but this time, one time in particular, we were down there on the plantation, and Mike Scott was with us. There were several of us together, and they wanted us to throw a little sizzle reel together, make something up right quick, 30, 45 minutes, and send it to them. And everybody's like looking at each other. We wanted to dig. We didn't want to do that. But anyway, we did it, and we were cutting up, laughing, and whatever. We didn't think anything about it. So they put it together, and they sent it. And a couple months later, everybody gets a phone call. Hey, we loved it. Said, would y'all be interested in, trying out for a show? So what they do, everybody gets a call, and then from a producer, and they want you to, just like now, they want you to Skype with them, and they can ask you questions and interview you and stuff. And that's how you make it on television. I mean, if they like you, they'll put you on television. If they don't like you, you're not going on television.
Right. So now you got a deal going. Now, right. Do you have to join the union, the SAG-AFTRA?
No.
Did you have to get an agent for this?
Yeah, we had to get an agent because, like I said, Larry's done it before, and we got us an agent, and he only got like 10%. And it was a good idea because he takes care of a lot of between you and the network that if you didn't have an agent, they would screw you. In other words, when we first started, they offered us like $1,500 an episode, but when it was over, we got $3,000. So that was due to the agent.
So it was $3,000 for the whole crew, or per person? Yeah,
well, I don't know. There was a couple of those guys that didn't get an agent, so I don't know what they got paid. We didn't really talk about that, but yeah, we got $3,000 an episode, and actually they only put 4 episodes on television, and I'll tell you, why that happened. But anyway, we shot like 9 episodes.
So okay, all right. So let me just get you back a little bit here. So you guys make the deal, and you have an agent, and your partner has an agent. Now, right. Who gets? How many guys were on this television show?
7.
7. Now, who got the premiere spot? I mean, or did you all have a little bit of each?
No, that's left up to the producer and the director.
Okay. And so now you're going to cut a show. Where do they fly you into a location? Do they have a location for you, or do you have to get to the location and they come to you?
All right. Well, our show was based on this is where the mistake was made for us because we let them, determine. The show was about Jefferson Davis leaving Virginia and the places they stopped, and we according to the show we needed to go where they had been, so we left it up to their guys to run around and try to get permission on these places instead of us finding out where these places were at.
Yeah.
And they picked places that when we got there, we looked at each other and we said, "Oh shit!" Excuse my language. It's like, what the hell are we gonna do here? You know what I'm saying? It was like, the first one was downtown in Virginia. His first stop. I forget the name of that town now, but anyway, it was.
You're gonna do bust up concrete, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much like what the hell we're gonna do here? Bust up concrete, or we had to think fast. Because they'd already made all the plans. This is where you guys are going to film the show, the first episode. So we came up with the idea. You got to see if maybe they left something in the walls. Maybe they left some gold coins, or somebody's got something back there. We had to do something.
All right. So, now, did they ever approach you and say, "Hey, if you don't find something, we're gonna make you find something"? Like, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna put something there. We told them, all right, we're treasure hunters, relic hunters now. We didn't say we were going to guarantee we were going to find treasure or anything like that. But we told them, you get us on a historical site, I don't care where it's at, if it's back during the period, we will find something because we know what we're doing. We know how to find it. We know where to look. We know what signs of what to look for. So we were going to find something no matter where we went if it was an old spot. And we did. All right, tell us about the first couple episodes. How did that go? As far as how how easy was it? Did you have to
Like I said, the first. All right, the first place we went, there was two places. There was a plantation. They split us up in two groups. All right, the group was me, Larry, and Dan, and then Brant and Tracy and Earl, and they were going to the other place. And Mike, they were going to the big plantation. It was like, man, we would have liked to go into the big plantation, but they put us over at this, where Jeff Davis spent a week, the first week after he left Richmond, and it was in the middle of like downtown, the big city. I was like, holy crap, how the hell are we gonna find something here? But it would have been much nicer to go out on that plantation. But after we didn't find anything on that plantation, they decided to ship us over there to that plantation with the other guys real quick.
Yeah.
We could find, so we could actually find something, and we did. I mean, even there, even though it was an old plantation, there'd been people living in that place until the 1980s, and it was trashy. I mean, there's tires, just junk all over the place. It's like a hard place to metal detect, so we had to. Even the slave quarters, which were original, we had to come up with the idea, we knew, we've done it before, digging the dirt floors of any kind of building that's original, artifacts, and we did.
Hey, Laszlo, really quick, I know you're on tablet. Do you have a possibility that you might be able to set it down? We're getting a lot of feedback from you moving it around.
Yeah, I'm sitting down in the chair. How about now?
Yeah, perfect. Absolute perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Lance.
Yeah, that was actually a really good episode. I enjoyed watching you guys going through the first of the slave quarters there. That was the one that used to have boards. The boards had gone missing, and you guys, you and Larry, actually started shoveling out the dirt and sifting through it, and metal detecting as well.
Right.
I believe you were using a sniper coil inside and found a coin sitting in one of the corners of the building.
I found a Virginia button in the corner of the building, but I did find a half dime down in the dirt under the floor, and it was 1820s, 1830s, I forget.
That's fantastic.
We had to give everything we found to the landowners anyway. So
yeah. So basically if anybody out there wants to actually watch this show, it's available on Amazon and iTunes. It's called Rebel Gold. There are only 4 episodes. We're kind of hit a couple spots. I know there's a couple questions that Dave might have about it. And I finished the show earlier this week, and so I want to kind of talk with Pete about it because he knows what might be the end story for the season. So this is going to be really good information for you guys. But even though knowing the end of the story and what had happened, watching those 4 episodes, it's absolutely fantastic, and seeing our guest on television is one of a kind. Our first, actually.
Appreciate it.
So Pete, so you're all right. You got the first couple episodes in. You're feeling pretty good, and you're in the 3rd and 4th. How many episodes altogether did you shoot and have in the can?
Yeah, see, we shot 9 episodes, and they condensed what they wanted out of that into 4. And, that was a lot of time for that little 4 episodes, but it would have been more, but there was a little problem, I'm sure everybody. The reason our show got canned, I don't know, does anybody know?
Yeah, we want to know about that, but wait, you got paid per episode, but they sent you out 9 times.
So, yeah, $3,000 times 9, that's what, $27,000?
Oh, so is each time you went out recording?
Yeah, not they broke it up into 4 shows, but every time you went out, you got
all that material they shot. They just pretty much threw in the garbage. They didn't like. Which some of that stuff that they shot was horrible. I didn't like it either. Larry couldn't stand it. I was like, why the hell are they making us do this stupid stuff? But I thank God every day they didn't put that on television.
Yeah, you can kind of tell.
When we first started shooting that, they had a different director and producer. And I don't think the Discovery Channel liked that direction they were going with that, and that's why they brought in a new director.
Yep.
And that's why we pretty much started shooting the stuff over, differently.
Did you guys ever get in some conflict with the producers and director and say, "Come, you guys don't even know what you're doing. You guys want to show this is how you do it"? It was.
It was terrible. That first go around with that other. Oh God, we were hot. Yeah, we weren't pleased with that at all. But I mean, we signed contracts to do that garbage and. That's what we had to do, whether we hated it or not. And believe me, we hated it.
But they didn't give you any. You didn't have any input. You couldn't, say, "Hey, let's just try this. Let's try that."
They don't want to listen to that. They know better. They know everything about making television. You can't tell them nothing.
Yeah, they know what they want to show on TV that'll help them get ratings.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. You got to do what they tell you to do. So.
All right. So Lance, you saw all 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's heartbreaking at the end. I mean, for you guys. What transpired after the 4th episode aired?
I mean, they told us that they really liked the show. They liked it so much. They had guys on, directors and producers that were working for the production companies telling us how good it was, and it was actually going to replace. They thought for sure that would replace that show called Gold Rush. You know what I'm talking about? That show's been on years. So they had actually literally planned for our show. They told us it was going to replace Gold Rush, and then the terrible thing happened. Everybody knows. You remember when the young guy, idiot, shot those 9 people in Charleston?
Yeah, that was in the church.
Yeah, was it like a Baptist church or something? And the white kid came in and
he was taking pictures of himself with Confederate flags and stuff like that. And well, after that, anything Confederate. I mean, the travel, all those Discovery Channel, they're all pretty left wing, liberal, and anything Confederate or slavery wise, it became a taboo subject almost overnight. I mean, they started pulling down in cemeteries. They started pulling down statues. They started pulling out. South Carolina pulled the flag off the State House after that. Oh. So it was terrible timing for us. Even though the show, a lot of people loved it. A lot of people thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually a very good show.
Because I mean, it was put together pretty well. I mean, and it could have, we could have done some more stuff with it, but
now you don't have the rights to it now, so you can say, hey, well, you guys canceled our show. It's all their material. Do they have any inclination? Do they maybe want to start this up again once it's,
Who knows? Who knows?
Did you ever contact?
No, we ain't got contacted other than the our agent told us it was pretty sad that's the way it ended.
Yeah.
Because of because that idiot doing what he did, and anything to do with Confederacy right now is just now slowly being acceptable again. But I mean, for a whole year, it was like you don't even open your mouth about anything Confederate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's kind of a sad thing because, especially for people like you, a lot of people refer to you as the rebel hunter and all kinds of other things. You go out and you find Civil War relics that most people would drool over. I mean, I've seen some of your coins, which are absolutely insane to me to actually see it dug up from the ground. But you go out and you basically go to a site. If I can quote, actually, let me quote Larry from the TV series. I wanted to bring this up anyway. But Larry was talking about you in the 4th episode and described you as a guy who could go to a shopping center parking lot and find a Civil War button.
Yeah, he's not the first person that said that, but I think it's funny. But I just had, it's weird. I mean, I just have a knack for locating this stuff. Get on a piece of property, I go straight to it. I know where it's at.
You got a nose for it. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
The first time I saw your stuff, it was buttons, and they were like such great shape. I mean, you take your relic and you clean them up, and what do you do to make them look so good?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Most people don't, unless they do this a lot and they're on the circuit, like you go to these Civil War shows where dealers from Virginia and Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee, they set up their stuff. South Carolina has probably some of the probably overall the prettiest artifacts because the soil is sandy. It's not rocky. It's not clay. It's like sugar sand. You can sometimes instead of using your shovel, you just literally put your glove down in the hole and dig it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like Dixie Crystal sugar, and that's why it preserves the stuff. Some of it looks like it just fell off the guy's coat, or some of those coins are, they got nice patinas on them, but they're so crisp.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the things that you've been digging up that you've been posting onto the GDA Facebook group, and it is just absolutely fantastic. I think you've actually shared photos of multiple items that you've found over the last several months. And that was an extremely large collection with a lot of items that are historically significant, which is what I wanted to say about the Civil War. We cannot forget the Civil War. Yeah, sure, there were sides that weren't that great. There were sides that, were supposedly the best, but still weren't, still had some issues or some things that needed to be worked out. But the overall reason for the war was in order to stop slavery in the United States. And basically it happened, or it began happening almost immediately after the Civil War. And if we forget all these men on both sides who gave up their lives for what they believed in, regardless if it was the correct thing or not, they fought for their country, they fought for their beliefs. And we can't forget that. We need to embrace that so we never see that happen again.
All right. Well, see, the average person's been taught in school that, Civil War was fought over slavery. Yeah, it was a terrible institution. In England, they'd already done away with it back in the 1700s. They didn't like it even way back then. But the plantation system and stuff. But actually, what it was, the war. I mean, secession started way back in the 1830s in South Carolina. It was because the federal government was overreaching. They were putting tariffs on stuff. In the South was producing a lot of cotton that they were selling overseas.
Yeah.
Cotton. You ever heard the phrase "cotton is king"? Well, they were making a lot of money off cotton, and the government was, putting tariffs on these states, and they said, they wanted free trade. Back in the 1830s, I got pictures. I've never found one, but my friend has. A button from the 1830s has got a palmetto tree on it. It says "Free Trade, States' Rights." This is way back in the 1830s now, and it didn't say anything about slavery on that button.
True.
As the government was putting these tariffs on the goods they were trying to sell overseas, and in other words, they were taking all these guys' profits, and they didn't like it. And eventually, it just finally came to a head. And they said when Lincoln got elected, and that was the end of it. They said, "Nope. No more. We're out of here."
That's but I mean,
of course, slavery. It was the institution that was. Of course, slavery is not just here in the U.S. It's been all over the world.
Do you ever think that was the way to kind of get this whole thing going? I could see it was about the tariffs and stuff like that, but then they made it about slavery for the slaves to kind of uprise and leave the plantations to kind of without the workers, the slaves.
Think about Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin not long, right around that time. That slavery was going to be obsolete anyway, so it wasn't about that. I mean, that was just a way of life here in the South. But it was in Brazil, it was in Cuba. I mean, they had plantations all over, slaves all over the Central America and South America. It was all over the place. It just wasn't here.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because I didn't even think about Eli Whitney creating the cotton gin, which was, I believe, in the either right before the Civil War started. I think it actually came out, but it hadn't been adopted by most people yet.
Well, I'm saying slavery was a dying institution anyway, so that's really not the main reason they went to war. Of course, that's what they teach you in school.
Yeah.
But
so let's lighten it up a little bit. Now you go to these sites. Now I want the honest truth. Have you ever, or you and your boys, when you go on these Civil War sites, have seen any kind of ghost or spirits of the past?
Oh yeah. I can think of a couple of instances. I was down there a few years ago. It was in the summertime. We like to go out in the evening when it's cool. It's so hot. here in South Carolina for the past 2 weeks, it's been 100 degrees. You can't metal a tech like that. So, we made points a lot of times, if we got permission to go on a pasture or a field, we'll go out there, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night when it's cooler and the moon's out. We don't do that. We don't do that illegally. I don't ever hunt illegally. I always get permission.
Yeah.
But if we got permission to go on a guy's place, so it's just a cow pasture or something, nothing else out there. But I was out in this pasture one night a couple of years ago, and I'm standing there, and this big green orb floats out of the pasture. It's bigger than a basketball. It just lightly floats up out of the pasture. I'm sitting there staring at this thing like, what in the hell is this? And I sat there watching that thing, and it just floated right there. It was, I don't know, 50 yards.
Now, are you sure this is the thing that floated, the big green blob that floated out of the ground? You sure that didn't come from one of your crew members? Because I saw your video.
No. There was only a couple of us out there, and they weren't anywhere near this. But I'm telling you, it was a big, round, green, fluorescent orb, and you could see through it.
Huh.
But it was fluorescent, perfectly round, and it just floated right out of the ground, and it just hovered there for like a minute, just right in front of me. And I watched this thing, all of a sudden it starts floating off. There's a pond over there next to this pasture, and it started floating all the way over there to the edge of the pond. I watched that thing for like 3 minutes, and it just floated all the way along the edge of that pond until it finally got to the other side of the pond, and it just disappeared.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I've seen, I've looked it up on the internet, and they call those things ghost orbs.
Yeah, ghost orbs.
But you know what? The thing about that pasture, it was also an Indian village. There has been a lot of arrowheads picked up out of that pasture.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
But I saw that, and a couple of years ago we were on a battlefield on a dirt road. It was actually on a battlefield in the lower part of the state, and where a lot of people got killed. And my buddy was hunting down there one night, and he was by himself, and he said he thought he heard somebody talking. There's not a house around here within 2 miles, so he thought he heard somebody talking. So he takes his headphone off, and he tries to listen for the voices again. The next thing he hears it sounds like a musket hammer goes click, and all of a sudden it goes kaboom. He said it scared the living daylights out of him. He said he couldn't get out of it fast enough.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And in that same area, about a year later, we were riding down the dirt road in broad daylight, the sun shining, and taking pictures, because it was a pretty area, big oak trees and stuff, and taking photographs. And all right, we finished taking about a dozen photographs, and we got back up to the main highway and started looking at the photographs. They were all normal except for one. And this one photograph's got this big bright white light on it's like on the oak tree in the photograph. It's like, what the hell? What is this? And when I got home, I got to looking at it and blew it up. It's got faces on that tree.
Jeez.
Yes, sir.
You gotta post those on those GDA so we can take a look at those.
I've got the pictures. I can post them.
Hey, I want to go ahead, since we're on the issue of paranormal, I want to go ahead and bring it over to a little paranormal friend of mine. Patrick White has his first segment coming up today, and then we're going to bring in our surprise second guest tonight, who's been standing by the entire time. And but until then, we'll talk to you guys in about 4.5 minutes. See you then.
Well, hello to all the GDA listeners out there. This is Patrick White from the Vulcan Treasure Society. And I just want to point out that if there's anything in the background that sounds like a bird, that's exactly what it is, because I've got a bunch of them here, and they make.
All right, guys, you still around?
But anyway, they're here.
Okay.
And the other thing.
All right, so I'm going to be bringing you in just a second, Gary. Unfortunately, I've been so swamped this weekend, I couldn't cut any of the audio from the other guys.
And the other thing is is that now
Excuse me,
XP
I'm just
metal
reading
detectors is in
somebody
the loop.
commenting on
This
the audio
blows
today.
me
Anyway,
away. These guys
he's going to.
are awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't cut out like the
I would,
beginnings and the ends
slobber
of
over
the
thought
segments that are
of
coming in, so
having
it's going to
XP
sound a little weird.
That's just
For the
amazing.
last 2 days, I've been
Anyhow,
starting my mornings at about 4:30, and
as I
then I
leave the
don't get done
fretboard
until
here
about
for a
2
couple of
o'clock
minutes,
in the morning.
I
So
just want to say that, I have actually,
yeah,
I've always
it's been a
believed
little
in
hectic for me this
extraterrestrial
weekend.
life.
But
And that the
this will
Earth
be a good one
is
to
inhabited,
actually
of course, by many
fix up
species
for
of
next week.
humanoids and that we have constant
So,
visitors from outside
everybody
of our
okay
solar
with it,
system.
Dave? Gary, everybody okay
Or
with the
even
show
ones
so
that
far?
have just been here for much longer than us, but they just prefer to remain hidden. Maybe I spend too much time pondering about things like this. But the other night it hit me. They're just prospectors like we are. And the typical flying saucers and the triangles that you always hear about are actually just huge metal detectors beyond our imagination, capable of detecting not only just metals like gold and silver and platinum, but elements like uranium and plutonium and even rare earth elements and other planetary elements from great distances. You might think that this sounds crazy, but this is indeed exactly what we are trying to do now. We have been sending very sophisticated, robotic metal detectors into space for decades now, to explore planetary bodies, comets, and just to examine space debris. And most importantly, electromagnetic fields, which is indeed exactly what a metal detector does. In the grand scheme of things, metal detecting for human beings is in its absolute infancy. And within 10 or 20 years, the metal detector you now use, which is the most balls-out metal detector available at the time, it will look like a rotary telephone in comparison. So, regardless if you believe in any of this crazy mumbo-jumbo about space aliens and flying saucers, just imagine for a second if you were sent on a mission to explore another planet or just space itself, what would you really want to take with you? And in my opinion, it would be a really balls-out metal detector. Metal detecting equipment like a giant metal detector where the body of the ship is actually the coil, and that can detect an element, that you need from millions of miles away. And I don't care what any species of corporeal alien that you are, the periodical table of the elements applies to you. And gold is valuable in any solar system because it is non-corrosive, and it also has very excellent conductive properties. And the Earth is absolutely loaded with at least 115 or so elements that we have discovered so far. And there is a reason that we value elements like gold, silver, and platinum. And if mankind on Earth actually matures to the point of sending a ship to another planet, that ship is going to be stacked with all kinds of detection equipment. Find all kinds of valuable minerals. So how can we think for 1 second that another species, even though his ears might be just a little bit more pointed than ours, might not do the same thing? Anyhow, thanks for listening.
Well, that was Patrick White, and I want to go ahead and again apologize. Listen, everybody, Global Detection Adventures, we've upgraded. We actually have a mixing board now. Yeah, I've got all this audio that's coming across this mixing board, and
we got a mixing board?
Yeah.
I'll have a gin and 7-Up, please.
Wrong kind of mixing going on there. Unfortunately, it's for all the audio, and I forgot to turn off my mic when Patrick was talking. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize for that one. So, but anyway, Patrick, anyway, I owe you a beer, so I'll send you the money here real soon.
Okay, well, we're talking to Peter. Pete.
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, we're back here. All right, Pete.
Yeah.
Now, So we were just talking about ghost stories and things like that. But
Love
you're
that
kind of my go-to guy when it comes to buttons. You do like mostly Civil War. Do you ever do? You guys go out and do colonial hunting?
Oh, yeah.
Or, yeah.
Years ago, we did not because, I don't know, we just weren't that much interested in it. But
Yeah.
you know, as the Civil War stuff got harder to find, personally, I like anything from 1865 on back. That's just my thing. And the reason I got started with the buttons, most people don't realize. I'll give you a quick story about a guy who was a coin hunter 30 years ago. He even had a tag on his car that said, "I dig coins." And I kept after him. I said, "Let's go relic hunting." He kept going, "Relic hunting? I don't want to go relic hunting. That's garbage. I don't want to do that." So I finally got through to him and took him down to a camp. And he digs a Confederate artillery button, a rare one. And so we go to the Charleston show, and he starts flashing that Confederate button around to these dealers down there. And this was almost 30 years ago, 25 years ago. They offered him $350 for that button.
What?
And he took it. Okay, he took it, and he started walking around the show, and he noticed coins. He saw a $5 gold piece from the 1850s with a price tag of $250 on it. So he took the profits from that artillery button, bought the $5 gold piece, and still had $100 profit in his pocket. And from that day until today, he's strictly a relic hunter.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest who's been hiding in the wings since we actually started this. His name is Gary Blackwell. He's coming out of the United Kingdom. And he's a guy who's been gracious enough to take me and the podcast under the wings of XP and hopefully spread a little bit more news and information about the XP and the XP Deus and all the news and everything else. So, Gary, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic yourself.
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks. Really good.
Yeah, well, during Patrick's little talk, we were actually all sitting down talking about ghost stories, and you had a couple to share yourself. By the way, you're a metal detector. You work directly with XP, and so you've got a couple stories.
Well, funny you should say, to get onto the ghost subject, me and my wife were out for a meal with Peter and Sarah from the Weekend Wanderers last night, and they started talking about ghost hunting because they live very near to an old castle. And they went out and took photographs of each other and stuff like that. It was dark, and when they put the pictures onto their computer, there was orbs flying all around them, real high energy areas.
Huh.
So it was just a coincidence that you guys started talking about ghosts today. Back in 1999, we rented a house. It was a gorgeous house. We couldn't understand why nobody else wanted to rent it, but we soon found out why, because it had a poltergeist in it. And one Christmas Eve, the pots and pans were flying off the shelves all across the kitchen. It was a really traumatic experience, so we got out of there kind of quick.
Wait a second, you actually watched these things flying across this room?
Sure did. We stood there and watched pots and pans flying.
It was Christmas Eve, right? So it must have been a Jewish.
Yeah.
It must have been a Jewish poltergeist then.
But you know what? You'd sit there and the TV had just changed channels on its own. It'd go through all the channels. And there was one room in particular where it was freezing cold up to waist height. It was a crazy place.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, that is insane. I mean, I
don't know
myself
what-
have been on a couple ghost hunts as well. I mean, it was part of my hobbies. I have a friend of mine who was on a TV show in the United States called Ghost Hunters International, Barry Fitzgerald, and he's done that as well. But yeah, that's incredible. I mean, my ghost stories, I'm not even going to go into. There's many, many, many of them. But yeah, that's insane. I never actually had a poltergeist sitting around with things flying around the room. I couldn't even imagine that one.
Horrific.
Yeah, I was like sleeping one time, and I woke up and I looked next to me, and there's this white, pale body, and I'm thinking, what? And I screamed. I go, oh. And my wife's like, nah, I blew the joke. I was going to say, oh, yeah, that was just my wife. But boom. But I blew the joke. Sorry, never mind. Take two.
Hey, Dave, go ahead and take over this. I got to call somebody real quick. I got a call coming into the studio, so I'll sign off and let you kind of run this.
All right. Yeah, this has been a really good technically challenging day here on the podcast. So we have Peter with us, and we also have Gary. Gary's with XP, and Peter Ellis is a South Carolina treasure hunter, mostly in relics in the Civil War. Peter, let me question.
Okay.
Best TV show, Hillbillies or Dukes of Hazzards?
Hillbillies.
Hillbillies?
Yeah, I'm into the Hillbillies. I never got into the Dukes of Hazzard too much. Even though I'm Southern, I don't know, that's a little too Southern for me.
Gary, you know what we're talking about?
The Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah. No, there's Gary. Gary, do you know what we're talking about? Dukes of Hazzards or the Hillbillies?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear those shows?
Yeah.
The Beverly Hillbillies.
All right. And Lance said he was signing off, right?
Yeah.
We're all going to listen to Lance's conversation with this kid. All right, love you too, man.
Here's the funny thing. You guys can hear me. You guys were able to hear me.
I don't know what were you doing. I love
the
you.
The fans out there weren't able to hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah, I had my audio input to the podcast down all the way. I just forgot to turn off the mic to Skype.
All right, Peter, we're going to let you go here because we're going to talk to Gary for a little bit. I really appreciate you being on. Go Clemson Tigers. And
sir, you got it.
And do you have anything you want to promote before you take off?
Yeah, two things. My brother Larry, he's got a website called the Treasure Depot, and he holds 2 or 3 relic hunts that are first come, first served. We lease a bunch of property, and whoever wants to go, they pay if they go find something for relic. And everybody has a great time. We have a lot of fun doing that. And if you want to go to one of those hunts, go to the Treasure Depot, and he'll put stuff on there from time to time, and you can sign up for one.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
And one more thing, I also use the XP Deus, the best metal detector on the market for what we do, as far as I'm concerned. All of us use it.
Checks in the post.
All of us use it, and it's a great metal detector. We love it.
Yeah, I just went out yesterday for my first time with it, and today I have 2 swollen arms because I got bitten on both arms by a horsefly, and I'm allergic to them.
Oh boy.
So anyway,
all right, Peter. Well, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for putting up with all the technical problems we've been having. I think 10 or 15 more shows, we should have this all notched down, right, Lance?
I should have this done by next week. Unfortunately,
I think the problem was you weren't drinking any beer today, so I think you were too sober. Yeah. So, Pete, from all of us at Global Detection Adventures, we're still looking forward to seeing some more of your finds, and send us those ghost pictures. I definitely want to see those.
Yeah, I'll put those up there, and I'd like to thank you guys for having me on here, and I know I didn't really get to, some people are probably looking forward, for me to telling them a little more about how I find some of these sites and stuff. So maybe if y'all ever have me on again, we'll go into,
We definitely will. We definitely will. Maybe we'll get you on in the fall. Once we got our September booked up, October. So we could probably get you back on sometime in November. And I would like to talk to you about that part of it.
Okay, it'd be a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll make sure that I get in touch with you, and we'll schedule you in for sometime in November.
All right, Lance, Dave, y'all take it easy, and enjoy talking with you guys.
All right, you too.
Same here.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That was Peter Ellis, or also known as Laszlo Peter Ellis. and he's the rebel detective from down south of South Carolina. All right, now we're up with you, Mr. B. Gary.
Yes. Back in the room.
All right.
Lance, are you still with us?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Making sure that we had a good disconnect from South Carolina. Yeah. So anyway, excuse me. I'm completely going crazy here. It's Gary Blackwell, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So Gary's in the United Kingdom. And he was gracious enough to kind of give me an olive branch of coming in and helping us on the podcast and everything else, which is a great thing because it's actually bringing us a little bit step further. Unfortunately, I have to learn all this technology that I have sitting in front of me. I currently have 2 computers, a mixing board, 2 microphones, and a pair of headsets on. And this is the first time I've had to run it this way. So, again, I'm going to apologize to everybody, but I'm not going to do it all night.
Well, Lance, we appreciate everything that you're doing. I know it's really difficult, and I'm sure everybody out there has to understand that you're going to have these problems, and we'll get used to them. I mean, we're still just a baby chicken right now in the podcast field, but we'll have all this down, and maybe in the future we'll have our own little sound guy to come in and do all that stuff for you, so you could actually, stop worrying about it and enjoy and just do what you do best and, talk to the peeps out there.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I mean, if you've noticed in the last week I was a little bit more quiet, and this week I've been a lot more quiet on the show, trying to adjust all the volumes, making sure everything's level, and that we're not clipping or anything else. It's crazy, but I don't mind it as long as I can get everything running correctly, and we create a good show. And thanks for the input from Gary Blackwell. He's the one that actually taught me about the mixing board that I got, which is the Behringer, and he's also, you're going to be noticing actually in the last video I put on to my YouTube channel and the one I should be uploading with luck tomorrow evening, that my audio on my videos has completely increased as well. And that's all because of Gary giving me hints and clues and everything else. And I'm going to keep expanding on all that knowledge. And it's not just going to be on my channel, it's going to be right here as well.
Right. I want to talk about the XP and the learning curve. It's probably under the higher end machines that you would maybe list as hard to adapt to come around, but they have some really, really great videos out there. I watched them for maybe 3-4 days, and I tell you, it's really easy to get your head wrapped around the XP with some of the videos they have out there and how they teach you. And so if anybody's out there and saying, well, I just want to, turn it on and go. Well, with the XP, you can turn it on and go. And if you want to get a little bit more in depth, you want to be a little bit more of an expert, you can make changes. There's 10 programs that they have already built in, and there's room for 8 more where you can make your own programs. Plus, you can tweak on the fly. So it's not that difficult. You guys just watch some of the videos, and Lance, actually, you're going to be one of those stars making these videos.
Exactly.
And if you know Lance, he's a very, very, very good teacher. He'll teach you from just the basics as he's learning. The mistakes that he will be making, he'll be showing you and saying, okay, well, this is why I did this, and this is why you shouldn't do this.
Exactly.
And with the help of Gary, you still there?
Yeah, sure.
Gary, do you have a site where some of the new XP owners can go to start their adventure with XPJS?
Yeah, we've got the XP Classroom, which is www.xp-detectors.co.uk. Now, we've got some good information there. At the top of the website, you've got XP Classroom Stage 2, Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, and Custom DAIS programs. So if you're new to the DAIS, go for stage one. Then when you're confident, stage two. So it's a really easy learning curve, the Deus, and I'd honestly say it's as easy or as difficult as you want to make it. I wouldn't advise you put a lot of different programs into your new Deus. Just stick with one or two, become familiar, and then work from there.
Yeah. I did notice that yesterday when I was out there. I started, you had given me a couple recommendations on a couple settings, and so I had saved those in there. But once I actually got out there into the field, I ended up just going to the basic number one setting. And that's where I actually started learning the differences in, I guess you could say, the tones and depths and everything else.
Yeah, the basic one.
Wow, we got a lot of feedback from somewhere.
Not from me. Who's opened up chips?
Okay.
Go ahead. Could Gary? Can you start that over again? Because it looks like someone was crumbling up paper or something.
It sounds like it.
Terrorist.
Basic one is a lot of beginners go for basic one, but they do have trouble identifying iron. Now, this is simply because the basic one doesn't have an iron tone. It doesn't have a low iron buzz to it. So to learn the Deus, you might be better off going for program number 2, which is Gold Max Power.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably what my issue was. Once you see the video come out tomorrow, you'll see the results of my hour and a half actually using it for the first time. So, yeah. I got to tell you straight offhand, the first time actually going out there, it was not, for me, it was not an issue actually getting used to the machine. The machine is extremely light, and we're talking, it's just under 2 pounds. I think it's 860 grams.
Correct.
And so it's an extremely light machine, and you can actually lighten that weight up by taking the control box off and either not even using it or hooking it onto your belt. So that's going to drop about another 50, 60
2
grams.
ounces.
Yeah.
How many grams the thing weighs? It's about the size of your cell phone. It probably weighs less than a cell phone.
Yeah,
Right?
it's about the exact same as a cell phone. I'd say about the same as an iPhone 6. But, I mean, the coil and everything else, it's extremely lightweight. And but I did notice that when I was out there, and you might be able to explain this for me coming at this, because like I've explained to everybody, I'm going into this completely virgin. I haven't watched anything. I'm kind of learning as I'm going, reading the instruction manuals, and then moving forward. And then Gary has given me some hints and clues as well. But when I was on the basic number one, I was getting a lot of chirping over the headsets and the speaker on the device. Was that a ground balance issue, or what might that have been?
Okay, did you adjust the ground balance from the factory preset of 90? Was it still on 90?
It started out on 90, and what I ended up doing is I dropped it down. I think it was between 70 and 75 is what I ended up dropping it to.
That's your problem. That's your problem. On the right-hand side of the meter, you've got a mineralization bar, which goes up when you go across mineralized ground. Now, if that mineralization bar isn't pumping, for example, if it's just not illuminated, you don't have to ground balance because it's telling you there's not enough minerals in the ground to warrant a ground balance. So keep it 88 to 90 all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So only ground balance if that bar starts pumping. And
Okay.
that's the key.
Okay,
that's
I've been
great
watching the
information.
videos. I got a question on once you pinpoint it, and I know you kind of go by. Watched some of the videos. The guy was going by tones, and you could tell if it was deep or not deep.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something out there on the Deus that tells you how deep the target is? Is there an icon or is there a number?
No, there's no number, but you've got the horseshoe on the left. Now, if you've got a shallow target, the horseshoe will illuminate all the way. If you've got a deep target, only the tip of the horseshoe will illuminate. So that gives you.
Oh, I see. So the illumination is it basically tells you how deep by the amount of illumination. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he didn't really explain that part. Yeah, okay.
Signal intensity, but you can normally hear that through the audio response.
Yeah, the one thing that I did notice as well is when you pinpoint, you have the square box that goes around it with the bullseye in the middle. The closer you get to the target, I've noticed that even with the depth, the box itself will not darken in toward the bullseye, depending upon the depth as well.
You have to keep pushing pinpointer, and it'll make the target smaller.
It shrinks.
So hit it. You push it again, and then it makes it smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So it actually narrows it down. You keep hitting that. I guess is it a switch or a button?
It's a button on the very bottom of the control panel.
Yeah. So when you hit pinpoint, hit the button, and then you find it and you want to get it closer. Make the target smaller. Hit it again, and hit it again until you really got it nailed down. I watched the video.
I was told someone was using the pinpoint button. That must have been you, Lance.
That probably was me.
Nobody uses a pinpoint button. You just do a quick wiggle left to right and draw the coil back. And when the target is, it's under the nose of the coil.
Okay. See, there we go. Just learned something new. Well, then that's going to be in the very next video.
Absolutely.
So, Gary, do you have videos out there, personal videos that you made, or are you just?
Yeah, I've got plenty of videos on my YouTube channel. The ones that didn't make the XP grade, so they just get chucked up on my video channel. So if you do a search for Gardansolin, which is GARDANSOLYN, Gardansolin.
Then I'm watching. Okay, because I'm listening to you and I'm going, God, I know this guy's voice. and those are the videos that I've been watching.
Actually,
and I got to tell you something. You are so easy to understand. I've watched so many metal detecting videos of trying to instructional ones, and your explanation and how do you just you explain. It's so easy to listen to this, to listen to you. So if anybody's got an XP out there, you got to go say that website again so they can come and watch your videos.
It's Gardansolin, GARDANSOLYN.
Okay, because you will definitely understand this. I watched all the, I think there was a series of 10 that you did. I watched them all, and then I watched them once more, and I, I would be pretty confident to swing that machine right off the bat. So Lance, there's my tip to you.
The funniest thing that I saw this week, right? There's a comedian in Los Angeles, and he's actually going to be coming on the show on September 25th. But there's a comedian in Los Angeles that Gary let me know about. His name is Todd Roy. If you guys get a chance, just type in Todd Roy onto YouTube, and you should be able to find his videos. Or go into the XP classroom, and you'll find his videos posted there. But in episode 3 of his learning to use the XP Deus, he describes watching a video of a gentleman describe how that exact thing that you told me about moving behind the target and it disappears. Yeah. He's like, this guy is really easy to listen to, but I don't know what his name is.
That's right. He said I was Australian, didn't he?
Yeah, he said you were Australian.
No, I was talking to Todd the other day, and he said, "I hope you didn't mind. It was my humour." I said, "No, that's absolutely fine, Todd." But great guy, really really funny guy, and he works out of Hollywood. So I think we got some really good things to come from Todd Roy.
Yeah, that's definitely. His videos are he's quite informative on his videos, but he still brings it in a comic light, which makes it really easy to watch as well. Plus, he's got his little girl posse that follows him all the time, too.
Lance, we got some commercials, we got some pay some bills, and then we can come back with Gary, or are we all set up for that?
Yeah, definitely set up for that. So I'm going to go ahead and send us off into a commercial real quick. And we're gonna go ahead right after that and come and get visited by oh man, You know, it's one of
Kimmy
these
Price,
days
maybe?
No, Kimmy Price
Dave?
is coming up in a little bit. Yeah, Dave Sadler with the archaeology and metal detecting news. And then we're going to talk with Gary about the news for XP coming up. So, to everybody that's out there, just stand by. We will be right back, and I promise you that.
No business like show business.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, the Global Detection Adventures podcast is brought to you proudly by Black Ada Advanced Digging Accessories. Check them out online at www.blackada.com. That's BLACKADA.com, all one word. Now let's start the show.
Good evening and welcome to the Archaeology and Metal Detecting Magazine News with myself, Dave Sadler, on Global Detecting Adventures podcast. I've been away for 2 weeks, unfortunately, so website has not been up to date as much as it should. One thing that I did do while I was away, though, while staying in Anglesey off the coast of North Wales, was visit the Roman encampment of Dinligwy, which is one of them Welsh words, which is an absolutely fantastic location in the middle of nowhere, where iron work was doing and musical instrument parts have been made, smithing, etc., etc., which could well go back to the Iron Age. And interestingly enough, while I was actually on location, the BBC were actually on site filming for a new documentary called Views from the Isle of Anglesey. And I was interested to meet a gentleman called Christopher Hughes, who is the head druid of Anglesey, who was actually taking part in the show. Anyway, more of that hopefully will appear on the magazine website as soon as I can put something together. In other world news, and we do have some bits and bobs from the world of metal detecting this month. Centuries-old bishop seal matrix has been discovered in Fife. A 17th century political button, a 300-year-old toy rattle, and a Roman wine cup were found among the rare and significant items discovered in Scotland this year. The matrix, in particular, has been passed on to the treasure trove in Scotland for more information to be found out. Sad news, men convicted of night talking at a Peterborough historical site. 2 men, Kevin Stacey and Samuel Wildman from Kettering, were convicted of unlawful metal detecting at Durabrive Roman town, a protected Roman site at Water Newton near the city. They've both been given a 12-month community order, 200 hours unpaid work, and have costs of over £300, which isn't particularly much, but hey, it's something. A number of cave paintings dating back as far as 8,000 years have been found in Balatalin in Inkala Caves in the Marmara province of Balıkesir in Turkey during a field study conducted by Associate Professor Dr. Derya Yakela from Kanalka. The Archaeophil website has reported the paintings, which are from a late Neolithic area, were located in 2 caves 5 kilometres apart and are said to be 8,000 years old. A handful of 2,000-year-old precious gold coins are to go on display in Shropshire for the first time on Monday the 1st of August, after being acquired by the Shrewsbury Museum Art Gallery. The 7 gold coins date back from AD 20 and are the first recorded Iron Age hoard from Shropshire. They were unearthed in 2015 near Claveley by a group of metal detectorists, then buried just before or after the Roman invasion on the edge of the lands belonging to the Conovi tribe. Whatever their reason, the person who buried the coins had never returned to collect them. Yorkshire Museum are appealing to save a stunning Roman hoard. More than 1,800 coins were discovered by a metal detectorist near the village of Wold Newton, East Yorkshire in 2014. The coins date back to 307 AD and feature Emperor Constantinus, as well as the first coins to proclaim his son Constantine the Great. Yorkshire Museum needs to raise £44,200 to take the coins into their keep. A sword that lay in a farmyard barn for 50 years is rare Bronze Age discovery. The community in County Fermanagh in Ireland, which helped to write record books of the 16th century battle, has made an important discovery. Cleanish and Killashar community groups solved the disputed location of the Battle of the Ford of Biscuits on the Arnie River in 1594 on a project called Battle Bricks and Bridges. They have now unearthed a sword which was found in the ford near the river. A rare 12th century kite brooch was found in Connemara. A US student in Ireland made the discovery during a field trip led by Connemara-based archaeologist Mike Gibbons. It was identified and confirmed as a 9 centuries old by Galway City Heritage Officer Jim Gibbons. Kite brooches were used as pieces of jewellery to fasten a cloak or a shawl. Egyptian's oldest papyrus is on display with details of the construction of the Great Pyramid. Fragments of the pages from the oldest existing papyrus document in Egypt have been put on public display for the first time at the Egyptian Museum in downtown Cairo. Due to my timescale, you're going to have to go and find out exactly how that was built yourself. Finally, 16,000-year-old tools discovered in Texas, among the oldest found in the West. Archaeologists in Texas thought they had made the most important discovery in the 1990s when they unearthed a trove of stone tools dating back 1,300,000 years, revealing traces of the oldest widespread culture on the continent. But then, years later, they made an even more powerful find in the same area, another layer of artifacts that were older still. About half an hour north of Austin and a metre deep in water-soggy, silty clay, researchers have uncovered evidence of human occupation dating back as much as 16,700 years, including fragments of human teeth and more than 90 stone tools. I'm Dave Sadler, editor of the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. You can learn more there at www.arcmdmag.com. Thanks and good evening.
All right, finding out about that information, those tools that were just recently found in Texas, I think one of our listeners, Randall Garrett, needs to get over there and see if he can find some for himself.
Randall, he just found himself about 8 silvers one day.
Yeah, that's true.
And his wife came home with maybe 3 crusty pennies and some kind of piece of pottery. Share the wealth. Share the wealth.
What's up with that anyway?
Skunks his wife like that. Unbelievable.
So
just
anyway,
put it back in the hole and let her find it.
So anyway, since we got Gary online, I wanted to go ahead and talk with him a little bit over the current and upcoming news and everything else. I just recently found out that the XP-ADX 150 video is now on the YouTube. Is that correct, Dave? Gary?
Yeah, that's correct. We've done a video with Gary Smith, who found a hoard of we've got the audio there. He found a hoard of Roman coins a few years ago, and we went back with the ADX and started looking some deep targets with it, targets he'd missed. So it just goes to show you the cheaper machines can really punch down.
Yeah, that's just crazy. And then I'm going to go on to the next one. The Jersey Hoard was just recently found, found in 2012 actually. But there were over 70,000 coins that were just found in that.
Oh, it's just an awesome story. We went over to Jersey and we met the guys, and we done some detecting on the hoard spot. We tried the dais on the hoard spot and we had some good results. I won't spoil it because there's a video coming out very soon, but over 70,000 coins weighing 3/4 of a ton. Oh. And it's the only hoard which has been lifted out in situ, Only 5 coins were lost during the lift.
Oh man, that's just incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Now, something that I definitely know for myself, you guys actually have a new coil that's coming out, and XP is actually broken into the pinpointer market with a pinpointer which should be getting scheduled, I think it's next month, or in September, excuse me. We're still in July.
Yeah, September we've got a new pinpointer coming out, and we've got a new coil which runs off around 10 kilohertz, 20 kilohertz, 30 kilohertz and 40 kilohertz. As you know now, Lance, your current dais runs off 4, 7, 12 and 18, thereabouts. Yeah. So it's really channeled towards the gold detecting market.
Okay. Okay, and the pinpointer itself. Now, I've heard a couple things about this. This pinpointer, it connects directly with the dais as well, to the headsets?
It does. It links directly to the headsets, and there's a few other little tricks up its sleeve as well. It's a really impressive piece of kit, and a lot of people were speculating it's going to be £300-400, but it's not. It's going to be just over the £100 mark, I believe.
Really? And this is all going to be, because you guys have the new update that just came out, and all this is included in the new update, or at least the software portion of it?
That's right. We've got a software update coming out at the same time these new products will be released, because it have a new menu to accommodate the new products. But
yeah.
It's still the same dais, it's just a software update. So the people who are waiting to buy a dais before these new bits arrive, I'd say don't worry about it, because you'll update your current dais in a matter of minutes using a computer.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is there's an XP rally coming up, and that's going to be on September, I believe it's 16th and 17th. Am I correct?
16th, 17th, and 18th. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Can you tell us a little information about this?
Well, we're just about to close the doors on it. We're pretty much sold out on our tickets now. We've got lots of people coming from all over the world, Italy, Spain, the USA, some guys are coming over, 2 coachloads from France, so it should be a really, really good XP event. As with all these events in the UK, be prepared for the British weather. Bring Wellingtons and suntan cream.
I wanted to come to this as well, but unfortunately I'm starting a new job tomorrow, and then my mother flies over to Germany in October, so asking for so much vacation at once right at the beginning was too much.
Hey, Gary, this is relatively new. Well, I'm not saying brand new, but maybe in the last 3 years, it's been catching on pretty good here in America, United States, that is. And will there ever be some rallies, XP rallies, held here in the United States?
Absolutely. We'd love to do something in the United States. You know, if we could get a big enough crowd together, it would be our pleasure.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I would definitely try and make time to get out to that one.
That sounds like a project for GDA.
Yeah, and see, maybe we can get out to one of these rallies, and both Dave and I, we sit down and actually record one of the episodes in front of an audience.
That sounds great.
I think that's going to be fantastic. I think something like that would be really cool to do. And the good thing about this this rally that's coming up as well is that the main sponsors of the podcast, Black Ad, are going to have their booth out there as well. So make sure you guys run out. Don't just run out to see XP and try and pick up the dais. Go out and pick up some of their shovels and check out how those things feel in your hand as well.
Absolutely, they're a brilliant product. They really are.
Yeah, I've got 2. I've got the Extended Invader and I've got the Stingray, and you'll see in my upcoming video I'm using both of them on the same dig, especially when it's a hard pack field like I was just dealing with yesterday. I use the Extended Invader to get down, and then I use the Stingray to actually do the small digging. So anyway, yeah, get out there, and where is this going to be for those people that are still trying to get those last-minute tickets? Maybe they might be able to secure the last couple that are out there.
Okay, so it's near a place called Burford. It's North Oxfordshire, sort of the Cotswolds way. So we've got about 1,400 acres to search, so
wow.
There's just plenty for everyone there. But you know, if you go to these rallies and expect to find the treasure of a lifetime, you may be disappointed. I think you've got to go to these events and treat it as a metal detecting social event rather than go and find treasure. But it's just going to be great to meet up with all the people we speak to and we've never met face to face.
Yeah.
Got lots of FLOs from the British Museum coming there to record finds. We've got Roman reenactments, we've got flint knapping, we've got coin dealers, we've got lots of food. There's just so much going on, guys.
So coin dealers, they could quite literally just sell their coins as they dig them up out of the ground then.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. But the good things with the coin dealers, they're great sources of information. So if you find something, they'll tell you what it is
Yeah.
straight away. So it's really is good to have these guys on site.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be great fun. And as always, XP's always looking for great finds and stories and anything else. How would they get in touch with you in order to send some photos or videos or any kind of stories of anybody using an XP product out in the field?
Yeah, that's a good point, Lance. If anyone's got any XP stories, pictures, finds, videos, just send them in to me. My email is gary@xpmetaldetectors.com. So gary@xpmetaldetectors.com. Send them directly into me, or even if you just want to chat about something, I'm here. Drop me a line.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Yeah, I'm checking to see if anybody's got any comments for you right now. But I think what we're going to do, I think we're going to head over to Mistress Siren Kimmy and let her give us her most recent story. And then we'll be back in about just over 3 minutes. So everybody just hang on. Talk to you in a sec.
It's Siren Kimmy again from Girls Rock Metal Detecting. I'm out in the field filming for our next YouTube video, which, with any luck, will be released sometime next week. But I was out here in this barren heat, not finding much today, unfortunately. And I was thinking about the finds I've dug this summer. One of the cool things I recovered was a carved 3-ringer Civil War bullet. Now, initially, when I dug the bullet, I was actually kind of perplexed. I thought I discovered some new unknown variety of bullet. You can see, if you check out the latest Girls Rock Metal Detecting YouTube video, it's called Surrender the Relics, where I dig it up, you can see the carving had made the bullet to look like it had a 4th ring. So I'm digging this thing up, and I'm like, huh, 4-ringer? What in the world is this? So I call the guys over. They're completely confused by it. Thrills in the Dig says, yeah, that's weird. And Steve sends a picture off to a buddy who's a bullet expert, and I sent it off to my friends Lee Jackson and J.J. Hartman, and they're Civil War experts. And I even sent a picture off to Gary of Heavy Metal Detecting over in England to see if he's ever run across anything like it. I mean, maybe some sort of rare British bullet, I don't know. But we quickly came to the conclusion that it was actually a carved 4th ring. Now, this got me to thinking. I know, dangerous prospect to be sure, but I was imagining this soldier whiling away the time waiting for orders, or maybe sitting around a campfire and just messing about carving this bullet. I'm pretty sure he had no idea that 150 plus years later this bullet would stir up like over an hour or so of research and controversy. I mean, certainly his main focus was staying alive and getting home to his family instead of contemplating what future generations were going to make of the war he was fighting, or what significance it would have. I don't know, maybe he was that philosophical, but certainly he'd have no concept of metal detecting. The idea would be alien to him. And he could have no way of knowing how few battles would be fought on American soil to leave behind relics for detectorists like us to find. To him, the bullet held no significance other than being ammunition, I'm sure. Or maybe his only reverence would be that it was going to be used to take somebody's life. But I don't know. I like to imagine him sitting there thinking to himself, I'm so going to mess with someone in the future as he's carving the 4th ring. I picture him tossing it on the ground, kicking some dirt over it, laughing. Get your head around that one, future generations, with your crazy metal detecting technology. But I guess it should give us pause to think as we go through life. What footprint are we going to leave behind? So far, a lot of ring pulls, pop tops, foil, and cans, I can tell you that much. But with that, I leave you until next time when, that's right, Siren Kimmy goes live on Global Detecting Adventure Podcast. I hope you join us and get in on the chat. I'm really looking forward to it. Until then, thank you for listening, and certainly get on over to girlsrockmetaldetecting.com, visit our YouTube channel, and feel free to subscribe. Also, be sure to like our Facebook page so you can stay updated with all the Girls Rock Metal Detecting news and happenings. And ladies, do not forget to submit your clips and pictures of finds to be included in future videos. So, until next time, I'm Siren Kimmy, signing off. Oh, and don't forget, rock metal detecting.
All right, so everybody knows who that was. That was Siren Kimmy coming to us from Girls Rock Metal Detecting. So if you haven't heard of Siren Kimmy, then I don't know which rock you've been hiding under.
Dun, dun. All right. You see, you didn't laugh at my joke, so I'm not laughing at yours.
But anyway, so all that news and everything that's coming up. So Gary, Dave actually during the little pause right there, he actually brought up a good point as far as metal detecting. You just recently got out with some people recently?
That's right. I've been out with the Metal Detectives group today. That was a good dig. Some nice coins come up today from Saxon Coin Show. So it was a great day, great company. They're just a really good bunch of guys, and they record all their finds. You know, they really do it by the book, which is a breath of fresh air, really. So they're a respectable group. I really enjoy going out with them.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the people that actually do it correctly and actually do everything right, they're usually the fun ones to be around.
Sure, yeah.
So, Dave, any more questions for Gary?
Yeah, Gary, what kind of beer do you like?
Rum. I drink rum, actually. I don't drink beer too much.
Not Captain Morgan. What kind of rum? Is it special rum out there on the mothership?
It's the Woods 100, I'm afraid. It's that's the one for me.
Don't know that one
right,
myself.
Sounds good.
All right, so
all right, well, if I'm ever in your neck of the woods, that's what I'll be drinking.
All right, Gary, you got anything else to plug for XP before we sign you off?
No, not really. Just to say to all the guys out there, thanks for supporting XP, and stick with us for the future, because we're going places.
Yeah, hopefully I definitely see that coming. Using the machine just one day, I'm already smitten with it, and I just can't wait to see myself actually learning more about it. So if you guys are going to keep advancing, you know, bringing out pinpointers and stuff like that, now's a great time to switch over to the XP family.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Gary, for being on the show. I really appreciate it, and I really love talking to you. And guys out there, you got to watch his videos. If you got an XP, that's the way to go. Start with him first, because he explains it like the maestro that he is.
Yeah, if you want to know where you can see the videos, double check the website that I share with on my last video. You can definitely check it on there as well. As you can hear, I accidentally hit the wrong button and hung up on everybody.
Yeah, you hung up on everybody.
I'm sorry to Gary for cutting you off like that. That wasn't intentional. I just wanted to minimize the screen, and I'm used to my Apple computer, and everything on this computer from my wife is a little backwards to me. So anyway,
I'll be calling it a night, man.
Yeah, I think that's it. We're at 127 right now. I think we've hit. I think we've hit just about everybody, and you know, we got our ghost stories. Our extraterrestrials came in to visit us tonight. A couple parrots in the background. So yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, guys. We are exhausted here from all the glitches. But Lance, I think what we should do is, you know, so that they don't have to go through this if they're going to watch this, is to just maybe we'll do some editing, post-editing.
Yeah.
Take out some of the junk. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to definitely do that. I'm not sure exactly when I can be able to do it. People will be able to download this podcast directly after we hang up and finish. They'll be able to download it from Spreaker.com. Just type in Global Detection Adventures there. Or just open iTunes and type in Global Detection Adventures, the podcast. And you can find, subscribe, and automatically get it downloaded straight to your iPhone, your iPad, or your computer as soon as a new episode shows up. And it's absolutely free. So, you know, if you listen to us live, why not just keep listening to us for the course of, you know, every day for 2 weeks?
All right, you set it up, brother. All right, it's time for me to stir the sauce. So I'm out of here. I'm Dave D.
And I'm Lance. I'm going to wish you guys a fantastic weekend and week.
Come on. And everybody have a good time. We'll see you in a couple weeks. And happy hunting. Good luck. And have a drink on me.
Yeah, definitely. You got to have a drink on somebody. I guess that's how you're going to have to do it. All right, so until we see you guys again in 2 weeks, that's it from me, and that's it for Dave. Everybody have a great week. Good luck. Happy hunting. We'll see y'all out on the fields. Let's dig it up, y'all.
This has been a production of the GDA Podcast Network.